Welcome to Chaos Gaming, everybody. We have something a little different today. We don't normally cover patch notes on individual games on this channel, but we're going to make an exception today. Apex Legends is about to drop the biggest update in history, the Chaos Theory update, and we have the patch notes. We're going to go over the buffs, the nerfs, everything about this. This is huge, especially if you're in the Apex community. If you're not, this may bring you back. So sit back, we're going to go over everything, and if this is something you guys enjoy, maybe we can do more of it in the future. So, this is over on Dexterto.com, and they're talking about this event is going to make some huge gameplay changes. So we're going to go over the entire patch notes for the event, and there's lots of tweaks, all kinds of stuff coming, the nerfs to the Mastiff. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be nerfs to Caustic, and there's going to be some improvement to weaker legends. So we're going to talk about that, and no-fill matchmaking. Let's actually start off there. No-fill in Apex Legends. Now, it's going to allow you guys to queue up for a match without teammates joining you. Now, it's not a solo experience, but it is going to achieve kind of the same thing, which is going to allow you to play without worrying about random teammates. If you guys want any more details, I'll put a link in the description to that as well. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, let's talk about your legends. Who is your main in Apex Legends? Is it Caustic? You may be upset, okay? We've got some updates. Caustic, his Nox gas grenade cooldown is increased from 2.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes. That is massive. Nox gas, his damage rate is going to be a flat rate of 5 HP per tick instead of ramping up from 6 HP all the way to 12 HP. Basically, Caustic is about to get nerfed. So keep that in mind. And the devs actually left a little friendly note here. They said, Caustic is brutally effective at slowing down engagements. The entirety of his kit revolves around gas with a large area of effect, slow vision, obstruction, and direct health damage. It is proven to be too oppressive in too many scenarios, especially considering teammates can play in gas relatively unimpaired. So, significantly reducing gas damage without taking it away completely or having it affect armor instead seemed like the fair compromise that stays true to the character while making him less oppressive on the receiving end. They're going to monitor it and see how it goes. I absolutely love dev notes with this stuff. Pathfinder. They removed low profile, and their reasoning was low profile had been used as a balancing tool for both mobile and small legends. Now, Path is still mobile, his hitbox is large. His overall win rate and encounter win rate is by no means low. It's just hard to justify keeping low profile on a hitbox of his size. Gibraltar, they removed 15% faster heal item usage while in Dome of Protection. Horizon got an increased black hole cooldown from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, a full minute on that as well. Revenant's Silence now disables Mirage's Cloaked Revive and Respawn as well as Octane's Swift Min. And then you have Watson. Watson now has a passive shield regen at 0.5 hit points, half of Octane's current health regen rate, and Rampart, the final one. Explosives damage amp cover normally. Yep, instead of inflicting 200 damage. Now, explosives damage Sheila normally instead of inflicting 175. And their notes on that are, walls should be beefy and powerful once built. Before Rampart shipped, we were worried about her nest being too oppressive, so we gave enemy players the option to quickly clear them out with grenades. It wasn't necessary, as it turns out, so we're removing increased damage from grenades against amped cover and Sheila. There you go. Now let's talk about weapons. All gold AR and LMG default optics have been updated to the 2x Bruiser. What about the Mastiff? Well, the pellet damage decreased from 13 down to 11, and the fire rate increased from 1.0 up to 1.1. Their notes on this were the goal of these changes are to place this weapon's identity between the fast-fire EVA 8 and the heavy-hitting Peacekeeper. The Mastiff has constantly been dominant in close-quarters combat, giving it forgiving spread patterns and high damage spikes with each shot. So this change is going to reduce that high damage potential in order to limit the amount of two-pump players experience in receiving. The old double pump. Let's talk about the Wingman. Plus 1 bullet to every magazine size, including base. There you go. You got a little Wingman buff, and you got a nerf on the Hemlock. They increased the hip fire spread. Okay, yeah, they said the burst damage from it was feeling a little too consistent, so they got rid of it. Now let's talk about quality of life changes. They're just as important as weapon nerfs and legend nerfs. Kings Canyon loot. They've done a pass on the loot to bring up the quality across the map, while also maintaining a certain amount of loot after Mirage Voyage has flown away. The wooden shacks across the map should have a few more pieces and generally a little higher quality. Spotted Lake has been reduced to medium quality from high, Crash Side has been redistributing their loot. The amount stays the same, but higher quality loot should be in the ship now. And Caustic Treatment has more loot than Water Treatment, and it remains high quality. Locked weapon optic swapping. Let's talk about it. For guns with fully locked attachment slots, like you've got your fully kitted gold weapons and a lot of crate weapons, you can now remove the optic and replace it with a different sight. This does not apply to the Kraber sniper rifle. Assists have been added to the in-game HUD next to kills, and it was already present in ranked, and now it is in unranked. Assist and knocks have been added to your squad's banners and will show at the end of a match as well, and club names now appear on match summary and champion screen if all players are part of the same club. Let's talk about badge progress. For badges that have longer amounts of progress, hovering over the badge will now show you that information. An example is if you're trying to get 50 wins as Lifeline, you will now see that you have 45 instead of somewhere between 15 and 50. So you actually know where you're at. Let's talk about pinging my death box. While respawning on a dropship, you can now ping your own death box to help locate it easier. Quality of life, people. Gold backpacks. Players being revived by a gold backpack will have a crackle of energy based on the tier of armor they wear while the revive is taking place. They are also going to display the armor heal FX when the revive is finished. Now, this change will help players prioritize pushing a revive in progress. Players on PC can now go back to the title screen from the lobby to allow switching of data centers without restarting your game. And added numbers to the advanced look controls. It should help people experiment and easily revert back to their favorite scannings. Now, let's talk about Inspect Weapon. Since the survival slot took its button on controller, they have a lot of buttons, they say. Inspect Weapon has now been moved to the emote wheel by default. It can be found, or it can be bound to any key on PC. A few bug fixes for your legends. Gibraltar, they corrected an issue where Gibraltar not getting hit registrations when simultaneously releasing ADS and shooting his gun shield was up. Wraith, now Wraith players can no longer cancel into the void by jumping at a wall, and the new skydive emote will now work with legendary skins. Caustic, they fixed a bug that was causing Nox gas to flicker for some players affected by it. Octane, they repeatedly use the same jump pad, no longer disables double jumps, and players are no longer allowed to glide along a wall after using the jump pad. Crypto, the animation to bring out his drone is no longer skippable by throwing hollow spray, and he can no longer teleport to a replicator, and reloading the Mastiff in 3030 will no longer be faster while in Crypto's drone. Loba fixed a few areas Loba could teleport into that would get her stuck. Rampart, players can no longer use Sheila to get under the world when placed too close to the phase runner in Olympus. Horizon, they fixed the gravity lift falling through the floor when used on the train tracks and World's Edge's sorting factory, and they use a zip line after a gravity lift is no longer going to increase accuracy. Fuse, the mother load will now damage and destroy jump pads, and when under a small enclosure, players will no longer be pushed out using mother load, and players can no longer double their grenades after looting a dead Fuse's death box. Mastiff, dropping and picking up the Mastiff will no longer cause it to be reloaded, and the 3030 repeater, dropping and picking it up will no longer cause it to be reloaded, now have a spread deviation when ADS firing and jumping. This is a huge update coming, my friends. Let me know what you're most excited about for it, and I'll see you soon.